Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the Phoenicians and Carthaginians. So without further ado, let's get started. One thing I want to point out before we start is that the Carthaginians were actually descendants of the Cainites. In the Bronze Age collapse, the Cainites would come and they would the Cainites after the Bronze Age collapse, they settled where the Phoenicians would be in the cities of Tyre, Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos. And the high point of that was 1200 to 800 BC. Carthage, as you would see in purple here, was more of a navy society. If you haven't watched our video on the Punic Wars, you should watch that video right after this. You'll get more of it. And you should watch the overview of Rome. So the Phoenicians are descendants of the Cainites, and the Cainites were consolidated. Well, the Hebrew tribes consolidated around the Mediterranean, near Tyre and Sidon. And I guess Tyre and Sidon would be kind of like here, I guess, on this map. And then those people, after they were called the Sea People because they were famous as traders and pirates. This was pretty crazy for the time because everyone was going nuts about a bunch of sea people raiding. So then they came back to where you would see in purple here. That's Carthage. Carthage was more of a navy society, and it's more. You may be thinking, what's the phonetic alphabet right now? The phonetic alphabet is basically the alphabet of the Carthaginians, and most historians think that this alphabet would eventually start the English alphabet. So the Phoenicians were called Phoenicians because they would trade purple dye. They would also go as far as Britain and Senegal too. Well, the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians are basically the one of the strongest empires after a Bronze Age collapse. And they traded purple dye, which made the other places call them Phoenicians. And why, if you may be thinking, why were the Punic Wars called the Punic Wars, not like the Roman Carthaginian Wars or the Carthaginian Roman Wars? It's because Phoenician can mean Ponicus. And in the series of wars called the Punic Wars, that's what it would mean. So these people, they would back in the Bronze Age collapse, they would be raiders, and Tyre and Sidon were actually trade posts first, but then they were turned from trade posts. And Carthage, it was one of the strongest places, but at this period. But then Rome came, and Rome was only like, let's say, a client state, basically, except it's not a client state of anyone, so that's not really a good example. Because so Carthage would eventually would eventually start fighting with Rome in the series of the Punic Wars, what would be called the Punic Wars. And the Punic Wars would last from basically the 2nd century to the 4th century. I mean, not BCE. So Carthage is eventually also famous for crossing the Alps in the 2nd Punic War, with Hannibal going across the Alps. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you next time. One thing I want to point out is that I want to thank you guys for all the support on some other stuff. So yeah. So one thing I want to point out, we will be building an Iron Man suit, except it won't be cardboard. I mean, it will be cardboard, not actually metal. I don't have that much money to afford that. So yeah, stay tuned for that. On Saturday, we'll be talking about Herod the Great, or maybe the 3rd century crisis, more likely a 3rd century crisis. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.